Alright, welcome everybody. We are back to business with the Gold League. SPT against CE, the number 1 in the standings, going up against the number 3 here today. It is again a best of 2, and there's still some confusion. I can see that in the YouTube comments all the time. So yeah, indeed, it is a best of 2 series, which means they are only playing 2 maps. And those are important for the standings. We're in the final group stage of Gold League. There's 8 teams that made it this far, and those teams, they play a double round robin against each other, and each map counts. The top 4 at the end of the double round robin, there we go. The top 4, they advance, they go to the step ladder system bracket, which will finally determine the champion of the Gold League, and the bottom 4, they drop out. Unfortunately, our Swedish team, Bolo, is currently in the bottom 4. They're actually last place. But we're looking, they play later, we're going to cover that of course as well, but now we're looking at SPT versus CE with bans on Anna, Sylvanas and Rexa at this point. Tomb of the Spider Queen is the map. Rexa gaining more and more popularity in China on pretty much any map now. Whereas in Europe, the hype around Rexa, I don't want to say it has stopped, but it definitely is being dampened down a little bit, and Rexa is now established on a few maps, but doesn't see as much of a high priority anymore as he did 2 or 3 weeks ago. So teams definitely started to adjust a little bit more to the Rexa hype, and he is still part of the meta and a very stable one at that. But he's not quite as highly prioritized anymore as he is in China. Maiev also taken away. That means that we're still having heroes like Jaina picked at this point on the map. Also, when we're looking at Tomb of the Spider Queen, obviously you're caring about the wave clear again, so we could even see, well, not for the wave clear, but for other reasons, we could see Li Ming when it comes to the wave clear. We could definitely see something like a Gul'dan maybe even later on, even though he has also suffered a bit. Traditional setup on the other hand from C at this point. Interesting that they pick into this first. Now Jaina pick on the other side has obviously shown already that outside of Jaina's wave clear, SPT is interested in some burst damage. And the ETC and Tyrande combo is actually something that we've seen a lot from SPT. So this is really an aggressive style where you're trying to get a power slide into a stun and a quick kill afterwards. We're having SPT with Urel, early commitment for the offlane here for China, and still with wave clear on the front line, getting Jojo in as the tank is going to help with that too. We have the blessed shield set up, you have a bit of displacement through Urel herself and the burst damage. Lulcio gets banned out. Support meta in China is probably my favorite thing because it is very, very different from Europe. So yeah, Lulcio gets banned out. No Lulz to be had in this game. And what's the ban on SPT's side? What are they going to get rid of? And it is Malthael. Malthael eliminated. Gives Urel a little bit more sustain down at the bottom of the map, but there's still a bunch of really good solo laners that we have here. I mean, normally when you're talking Europe, you would now think about Leo. You could still go Blaze as well. Traditional Phoenix pick, very, very popular in China compared to what we're seeing in Europe. Phoenix has started to make his way back into the European meta as well, but definitely not as highly prioritized as he is in China. The Chinese, they love to play around Phoenix. And there's Leoric, kind of as expected, as I said before. Definitely a great pick here for the map. And Genji comes into play, gonna try and threaten the bot lane. And the one-on-one situation there. And we have Rhaegar as a support, also with added wave clear. And now, last but not least, CE with their final pick. Now let's find out what that's going to be. They need a bit more damage on this end. They have a lot of wave clear, but need a bit more. There's Jimmy as the last pick for CE. Game number 1, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to jump in right away with Tomb of the Spider Queen, our first map here. And at first, as we're heading into map number 1, always a little disclaimer here. If you're currently experiencing a little bit of a more choppy stream than usual, that is perfectly normal. We're relying on a clean feed here from the Chinese to commentate Gold League, which means that we have no real influence over observing and also over the UI that gets chosen. And in addition to that, the source material is a little bit lower in FPS, what I usually use on my own channel. So if you have some FPS issues there, that's simply because of the nature of the source material there. But then again, as I said before, we're getting in exchange for that the action live from China, and that's definitely worth it. So we're going to have a quick look at that. And, well, for now, I'm personally actually really interested how especially the combo with Tyrande and with ETC does for CE, how aggressive they can be with this. Also, when it comes to talents, an oldie but goldie once again for Reina. Exterminator, the choice on level 1. The Chinese, they hold on to that particular pick. Actually, in this case, it's also the Koreans that have actually adopted a lot of that style here. But yeah, first kill is already in, and that's against Johanna, so she's already down. But we've talked in length about Exterminator in the past. As a talent that on the European realm or in the European competitive scene you will not even see on Battlefield of Eternity these days. But in China, that talent is starting to become... maybe calling it a standard is going a little bit too far, but it's definitely the first priority pick when we're talking about Tomb of the Spider Queen and when we're talking about Battlefield of Eternity these days on Jimmy's. So it's a bit weird from the European perspective. They are playing around with that. Reset in this case is actually the one that is playing with Reina here. And Reset had a fantastic tournament so far. I mean, he did extremely well throughout the entire stage. Obviously just doing reset things and getting his kills in, oftentimes found on either Li Ming or Genji, to give a little more meaning to the name. And here comes more aggression against Johanna. Nice body blocks as well. This time Misaka actually gets away, but nearly got bodied there too. And that shows again the power of the power slide into the stun. So Hyde now on Tyrande and really following those stun setups up quite nicely. He's having a great time, actually. Hyde usually, after every single game that he plays, pops into Twitch chat for a second as well and just talks to a couple of the people watching there. And it's kind of interesting to hear his insights over, especially the supports. As you can imagine, he's a huge fan of Ana these days as a support player, who isn't. But obviously the stun setups that we're seeing here from him are also fantastic and offer the teams more and more kill opportunities. With the talents coming in now on level 4, we're still having the rotations happen. The single kill against Johanna, the only thing that we got, with a big focus already on Rhaegar's side, straight into the lightning shield. It's something that Europe to an extent has adopted. We at least have the level 16 talent now kicking in every now and then, which is of course a bit of a power spike for him for sure. But we're not seeing as much of a focus into the lightning shield build as we have in this case. So the electric charge here on level 1, and then on level 4 the storm caller, which helps you a little bit more with mana. Nothing can help Urel on the other hand. She's down, and that's the second kill for CE. The number 1 in the standings, definitely determined to keep it that way. And as I said before, with this being a best of 2, and so 2 maps being played, that also means that every single map obviously counts. So from the get-go, CE is coming out swinging here. And yeah, that is looking pretty solid for them. But SPT is now trying to match the turn-ins on the gems that we have seen from CE. Obviously, there's a few more gems to be had on the side of the red team, since they got those 2 kills and relieved a few of the gems of their opponent. Talking about killing people, once again, Jojo goes down, and this is starting to become a little bit of a pattern. That aggressive early game setup is fantastic for them, but at least this time there's a counter kill as Reina goes down. Urel is moving in and takes it, but another quick power slide. We have already Rhaegar in trouble, and there's the kill against Jaina. And we could see even more as they're trying to get a follow-up against either Rhaegar or Urel. Both of them are able to jump out here. But at the end of the fight, it's still 4 kills against 1 overall. Gonda completing the turn-in, and the red team is already pushing, putting some pressure onto the structures here. Doing really well with this. The early level 7 is, of course, now empowering that push even more. Even more also in the wave clear department for ETC, as he goes for Echo Paddle on level 7. And this is actually starting to become a little bit worrisome for SPT. They need to be cautious. Getting snowballed on this map is a concern, especially when you're starting to lose gems and heroes fall. Oh, that's a swift strike into the back line. Very aggressive setup against Hyde. Hyde is still fine for now, and that's the problem. He actually survives through all of this. There was a lot of aggression that we saw here from SPT, and quite a few resources committed as well. They go in for the kill, and they can't get it, and in return, it's Johanna that falls again. Honestly, we're only 4 or 5 minutes in, but this is already looking a little bit desperate from SPT here. They collapsed with everybody onto Tyrande just to get that kill in, but Hyde just survives through all of this. Hyde is just, I mean, he's not hiding. He's just all the way out there and just showing himself and saying, like, if you want to go for me, and just be my guest, but I'm going to rip you apart with the rest of the team. That's exactly what they're doing. First Web Weaver wave gets them an immediate fort in the middle. That is a great setup here for CE. SPT is obviously going to try and rely on level 10 abilities later on. That's going to change the dynamic here by quite a bit. But for the time being at least, massive momentum swing. I mean, right now, you're looking at CE, they're already working on the second turn-in. Zada over here on Rhaegar is trying to turn in as well. Gets those gems out. Might actually be able to finally deliver, and does. But it only puts them to 37. They still need another 13 before they have the Web Weavers coming down for themselves. And what I'm worried about the most is CE completing a turn-in with level 10 abilities, getting the camp that they just took, and timing all of that to push with heroics, with Web Weavers, and maybe even with a camp. If that happens, then SPT is in a world of pain. This would literally be the moment when the shit hits the fan, because at that point, getting away from that onslaught is going to be rough. At least with the camp pushing through, they can already deal with this, but I am just waiting for the turn-in to be completed. There's one gem missing, and then they can make that play. And there's still nearly a level that SPT needs to get to level 10. So no turn-ins have started here. It's actually a little bit surprising to me. Honestly, I feel CE, if they would have forced it right now, get the turn-in as quickly as they can, maybe even not go for the bottom camp. Granted, the Siege Giants get some value, as we see at the bottom of the map. But if they got that turn-in just a little bit quicker, the Web Weavers would have been on the map with level 10 missing for the blue team. They obviously had to gather the gems first. They didn't quite have the amount at the start. But now that they get the turn-in, we have level 10 on both sides. So SPT has at least a chance to fight here. Overall, we have 5 kills against 1. Heroic ability is now coming in 2, which gives us, in this case, the Entomb again for the setup. And we have the Mosh Pit. Water Elemental, Ancestral is coming in 2. Genji hasn't made a choice yet. Still kind of expecting Dragon Blade, to be honest with you. And the Blessed Shield on Johanna, if anything else, would be a surprise. But they're starting to set everything up for the Web Weavers. Already pushing out the waves now. The top is going to be left alone because that fort is likely to fall one way or another. And everybody else is starting to move through the middle at this point and trying to drop this. Max Fire is barely jumping out here. Retreating, tapping the fountain, still alive, but the wall at the mid lane is already falling. And this is a pretty big issue. Yeah, there comes the aggression. Okay, they're trying to force it behind the Web Weaver. They're going for a Lu Fool, and that's the kill. SPT, nice. And we have the Falling Flail on Johanna. Starting to jump in here. Once again, trying to go for the next kill. It's a 5 versus 4 right now, and SPT is trying to take advantage of it. Already jumping onto Reset here. Fight or Flight has been activated. That might be the second kill. ETC with the Power Slide and the Mosh Pit into nothing. Zoning Mosh Pit from Gonda, trying to save his backline, but he pays the price for it. ETC goes down, and they're trying to get even more. But we still have the fight happening. CE is moving in. They want to get a kill, and they do. They take down Rhaegar. With Leo coming back, they now have a chance, but they don't have the Entomb just yet. The problem is that the bottom keep has fallen, and the one in the middle has taken a bit of damage as well. So this is honestly starting to get nasty for SPT. But I appreciate the effort and the kills that they just got. The aggression actually working out for them for once. But now they are in full defense mode, and CE has started to go straight for the boss. And the adjustment on Johanna, I mean, going for the Falling Sword or the Falling Flail here, they are actually pretty... It was a nice setup. I'm honestly wondering if that was an adjustment they made because they're so far behind, where they said, we gotta jump into the backline with Johanna, with Genji, and try and get the kill there, or if that was the plan from the get-go. Either way, it shows more aggression, and it shows also a little bit of fighting spirit here. But can they really do it? They're jumping in again. Urel is moving in, and they get the kill against Jimmy once more. So far, the aggression is working out. After level 10, SPT is definitely showing some teeth, but they might be a little bit too far behind. The boss that has been taken is also pushing through the top lane. The Web Weavers are now going to come down too, and SPT is just losing more and more infrastructure on the map. They are going to lose the top keep, and that's the second keep to fall. That's the second keep to fall, and now, yes, blue Web Weavers might come down, but they should be easily defended here. Can they save the keep? Oh, what? Oh, so close. Oh, that was really, really close there. Alright, so with that now said, we're having still the push at the bottom of the map. 6 kills against 4 at this point. And yeah, it looks still fantastic. I mean, it looks more and more fantastic for CE. The web weavers that we just see for SPT are pushing this back a little bit, but not much more can be done at this point from their perspective. Alright, so now Gonda sitting at the side here, trying to protect the flank once again. We're having also Big Bro jumping in with Urel. The aggression netted them a few kills. Like, if they go on the same target with Urel, with Johanna, with Genji, they can get the kill here. The problem is that the macro aspect of the game, of the map, is absolutely against them right now. If you look at the minimap alone, you basically know what's going on here. There's not a single fort that has been taken out. To be absolutely honest with you, I don't think they dropped a single turret yet. I obviously can't control the camera by myself here, but from everything that I remember, we haven't seen a single turret fall yet on CE's side, whereas SPT has lost everything with the exception of the mid keep. That's a massive, massive issue. So at this point, we're having, again, the bot lane pressure. Web Weavers are now coming in for the blue team for the second time. I mean, they're fighting back. They're really trying to get a bit of momentum going here. But at the same time, the level 16 talent that we're soon going to see will have a big, big advantage for CE for a pretty long period of time, because he will at least have a 1.5 level lead here. So SPT is going to have a lot of trouble catching up with that. Especially if they're losing a hero like this. Jaina gets completely caught off guard here, out of position a bit too. And that's the end of her, and that means that now they're trying to get value with the Web Weavers with only 4 heroes on the map. And this is an easy peasy defense right now. Absolute easy defense. I mean, this is just problematic. Obviously, the Web Weaver at the bot lane easily defended against as well. One of the problems that you also have when all your keeps are down is of course the catapult pressure. That is eventually going to lead to the core being attacked, but it's also a pretty nice tool to have when you have to defend against Web Weavers. And as you can tell, that second Web Weaver wave hasn't done anything. SPT didn't get anything. They pushed out the lanes a little bit, so they get a bit more map control back, but they haven't been able to take a single structure down here. And CE has now level 16 tunnels. They are on 16 right now. This is literally just a big power spike where Reyna is going to have to paint him red, for example. If the blue team collapses onto him again, he has a much better chance of survival at this point than he did before. And with 62 gems on the board, CE has an opportunity to go for another turn in themselves. And that would very, very likely be the nail in the coffin of SPT. And especially, yeah, Leo is already turning in with the 35 that he holds. So there's a bit of a fight attempt at the top. Hyde is turning in 2. That means they are 6 shy of completing it, and Reset is most likely going to finish the job here. And yep, that's what we're seeing now. They're looking for the fight already through the push in the middle, with the spell armor still being there. As you see at the bot lane, Phoenix, Lufool, going for an additional camp. I mean, CE has been beast in this game, seriously. I mean, from every aspect, the macro aspect, the decision making, the timings that these boys had so far, very impressive. And from start to finish, they dominated here. The aggression with Tirana and ETC at the beginning of the game. And now, of course, the massive, massive lead in structures and the attempt to end the game right here. They're moving into the middle once more, starting to take that down, and that actually looks really good with the Web Weavers coming in at the bottom and at the top, uncontested in the middle. The keep is about to fall. The fight obviously forced behind the objective, but SPT has a pretty much team wipe here. Once again, Gonda not hitting the mosh pit, but it doesn't really matter too much. They're still zoning them out there, and the longer this fight lasts, the more damage the core is going to take. On top of that, Jaina is now falling again. Genji is moving out, and the Owl takes him apart. The Owl is wrecking them. Hedwig getting another kill. Ron would be proud, and Harry too. Now we have Urel falling, and that is the end of game number 1, ladies and gentlemen. GG. Game number 2, ladies and gentlemen, SPT against CE, and right now, CE is killing it. It was a great first game by them. I mean, they dominated Tomb of the Spider Queen. It was very, very impressive, the setup that they had there. Great team fights by them, very good control of the map, the objectives, and also the mercenary camps, so fantastic setup by them. Now we're going into game number 2, and CE chose the map. SPT opted for first pick, first ban. They're banning out Tyrande immediately. I'm not gonna blame them for that choice. Not after how Hyde dealt with them and how little their efforts to kill Hyde on Tyrande, how little fruit that bore. Now we're having Rexa getting taken out again, and on top of that, Ana. Now obviously, now that we're actually on Battlefield of Eternity, you have to also look a little bit towards heroes like Hanzo. We have seen some adjustments. And Reyna again with Exterminator. I mean, we talked about this turn before. It's also an added reason why you're banning out Tyrande. It's not only height, but at the same time the value that the hero gives on the map. There's the ban on Maiev again. But on top of that, you're obviously also very likely going to see Li Ming pick, or at least it's a good chance for them. Li Ming is still a fantastic hero on this map. Great choice. But SPT, they're starting things off with a quick pick into Tyrael that could lead us into aggression with Greymane even. Greymane is oftentimes taken on the map here too in China. Great obviously when you can put him onto a structure or onto the Immortal. And if you combo him off with a good sanctification and the shields that Tyrael provides, you have something. There's the quick pick into Jimmy. Can put money on the fact that he's going to go Exterminator here. And ETC again, picking it away from Misaka, taking it for themselves. ETC also great on Battlefield of Eternity, since you can try and push or stun your opponent into the Immortal stun. And therefore I get a stacked CC on the target and try and take that down. But yeah, there we have Genji and Rega early on. So a little bit more lightning shield action from their part now as well. And we're heading into the bans again. I'm still wondering what they are going to get in addition to that. I honestly expected more Greymane setup for them, trying to play aggressive and move in together with Tyrael, and them trying to rely onto Genji once more. With that said, Nubara gets banned out. Tyrael and Nubara combo. Gotta admit, I haven't really seen too much of that, but then China has always been a little bit special. Nubarak still one of the high priority heroes in the European scene. If he is not banned in the first two bans, then he is definitely getting picked very quickly. So he's usually go-to ban, to be honest, especially if you're playing against Team Russia, for example. A lot of the draft centers around the control of Nubarak. Uther gets banned out as well, so we don't see the Holy Cow. No Divine Shield on the Mosh Pit. And on top of that too, what do we have from CE now? Arthur's, okay, for the offlane. This is again one of these things. I bet that Jimmy takes Exterminator. But just look at this, the Arthur's value, where you could get the ace in the hole getting procced in every single team fight. But they always do that, even in combos with Jaina, where you have the slows guaranteed. They go for Lucio again. Really one of the few teams that actually makes the hero work. Now we're having Malthael on the other side, so a little bit more damage. Sylvanas for the added push power. And last but not least, what do we have for CE? They're gonna jump in, or we're jumping in with the last pick for them. They need a bit more damage. I'm still surprised that we haven't seen Li Ming yet. I would have expected her to be taken a long time ago. And what is CE gonna go for? It's Hanzo. Hanzo, the last pick for CE. Second map in the series. Game number 2, CE in the lead in our little series here, and it is obviously the last map. SPT eager to tie it up and at least get 1 point out of the series here, but CE has different plans and they look great. And the first map, so now we're going to have another quick check of how this is actually going to work out for SPT, but already talents taken as expected. We're having the trade focus for the auto attack on the side of Arthur's here. So he's going to try stacking, and we're having again the Exterminator taken over the ace in the hole, even with the synergy that we're seeing on Arthur's side. So with that said, in comes the pressure in the mid lane. Both of the teams just also guarding, of course, just a little bit. Hanzo is currently sitting at the bot lane. It's a little bit of a fluid setup that we're currently seeing from both of them, trying to make sure that there is no early game aggression. There was a fountain, no gank being set up or anything of the like. So with that in play, we're having now also Lucio trying to speed around a little bit. Hyde is honestly, I mean, the guy is just a fantastic support player. You can't deny that at all. He has been, they tried to ban him out a couple of times during the tournament and that never really worked out. And he just makes it look easy. He had so many cool moments on the support side. It's honestly amazing. Now we're having the setup at the top pretty much as you would expect. So after everything settles in the early stages, we're now having our 4-man at the bot lane. There's the slide, there's the push, and Rega was actually in a lot of trouble. I think they lost sight of Rega for a moment. I gotta admit I did. And he was able to escape towards the bottom. So he gets away here. But guess what? Reset doesn't. So the kill against Hanzo. Okay, SPT. Nicely done here. Get the early kill. Not that it's going to help them too much just yet, but that's definitely one of those signs that you want them to open the game up with, right? So, yeah, pretty hyped for that one. And I hope that our observer shows us also the stacks later on Arthur's a little bit. It's usually, I feel like the level 1 that he has outside of him getting obviously the mana is always a little bit of a gimmicky talent when it comes to the damage, but if you spec into it a lot harder and you take the nice kill against Malthael here, if you spec into the 13 and 16 later on too, I feel you can get in a long drawn out game a lot of extra damage out. The question is obviously, does it really make up for the loss in control if you're going into the normal talents with Howling Blast quest on 1? But it can really pack a punch. Like, there's a lot of cases that we had with Arthas now going into this build where he had a pretty big impact in the later stages of the game, nearly dropping 300 HP. That's just that. Talking about dropping shit, I mean, at this point, we're having the second kill coming in against Reyna, so Reset has to be a bit careful here. It's the second time that he actually falls. Actually, I'm lying. So far we had Hanzo die once, now Jimmy died, so both of them. But you can tell that SPT is a bit more successful with their aggression in game number 2. And as I said before, all that matters is, do you win a map here or not? This is not a best of 3 series where you can just, yeah, brain fart once and lose a map because you have a bad draft, because you make a couple of bad decisions. This is just every single map counts, every single one of them. You want to have those numbers in, and SPT is obviously already in the top 4, so if everything stays that way, they would be guaranteed to make it to the next and final round of the tournament, but they're obviously hoping to improve their position a little bit better, or a little bit more, since it is a stepladder system. So the higher up you are in the standings, the less opponents you will have to face during the bracket stage. Reyna dies again, and that just highlights once more that SPT is doing very well here. They're incredibly aggressive right now, they make quick rotations happen and they get the kills in. That's now 3 kills against 1, and it's pretty much even on the halftime show, as they're moving in with Sylvanas, of course, too. They're trying to go for another kill. Gonda gets out there. And I'm also curious how many stacks Sylvanas has on the Unfurling Shadow, so hopefully our observer is going to show us that later. Because I really have the feeling that Sylvanas is currently doing a pretty decent job getting those stacks together. And the entire team is just murdering it. I'm honestly impressed. SPT recovered quickly from the loss in game number 1. That wasn't only a loss, that was a beatdown, it was a statement that we saw on Tomb of the Spider Queen. And now here in Battlefield of Eternity, it's a different story. Just look at that. Again the kill, Arthas is down. And, well, Genji needs to be careful, but he still had the trade active, so Hyde can't really follow that up. Was trying to go for it for a moment, but Hyde himself... Whoa! Hyde! You couldn't even see those hit points anymore. Unbelievable. Hyde gets out, ETC falls, Genji dies, it's starting to become a slaughter, and they finally get the kill against Lulcio as well. Rega establishing himself as the supreme support here, the supreme healer. But CE at least gets the Immortal. So they win the Immortal, that's at least something. But it's now 6 kills against 2. And SPT, they are still looking for more. The problem is that right now, Sylph into it a little bit, stayed around too long here and totally underestimating the power of Arthas and the setup that CE was running there. Even Rega was threatened for a few moments, so that could have been another follow-up kill. A part of that too. Now with the Immortal at the bottom lane, they're starting to push in a bit. They can't really do too much damage there yet, but they have level 7 at least, so that's eye level when it comes to talents, and they're going to be very eager to use that to their advantage now. But they might, if this continues, even get that fort after all. I want to see a Maze. That was not a high shield Immortal. There's the fight finally. But it's a little bit incredible to me that they are able to get the entire fort with this one. That was not a huge advantage that they had. But now CE is even getting kills after this. What a successful objective for them. There's still 1 kill against Hanzo, but Rega's also down, and this is a pretty incredible setup. I mean, oh boy, did that all of a sudden turn. Haha, there's a 3rd kill against Malthael. Lucio on the run, he's gonna fall, isn't he? Yeah. Still a 2-for-3 trade, and you get the fort on top of it. So, not bad at all. Nicely played by CE. Definitely signaling, hey boys, we're still in this game. Don't think you've won this yet. taking the Immortal by itself was already a big win, because as you can imagine, with the kills against CE, if they would have also lost the objective, it would have been really difficult against the Sylvanas enhanced push to save anything here. But then CE with that small shield on the Immortal, able to take the fort down and get the kills. It was actually pretty impressive. So there's a little fight again. The boops from Hyde, and again, it stresses just how strong of a player this guy is. He fell eventually because he started to move back in, but he was the one that sets up a lot of the kills for them here and really allows that. I mean, look at this again. They're going for Malthael, and they get Malthael because of Hyde. Hyde then moves out of harm's way, or tries to, but Genji follows it up. But just to see what an impact you can have with Lucio if you're actually a good player on a high level there. And Hyde is definitely one of the best. I mean, we've been talking about his Tyrande in the previous game and afterwards too. But his setup is just absolutely insane. Yeah, and now level 10 abilities are ready. Immortal is up in 16 seconds, so we should see an even fight on even talents. When it comes to rogue abilities, still no high five, never high five. Lucio just knows that nobody really likes him, nobody wants to high-five him, and he wants to spare himself that awkward moment where he goes in with the hand held up high and nobody reacts it. It's always awkward when that happens. You feel a little bit like a loser when it happens to you, so Lucio wants to spare himself the embarrassment, and that's why he always goes for sound barrier. It's the only reason. There is no other reason. If anybody tells you that there's another reason, they're lying to you. Malthael goes down. And that was nearly a clutch ancestral, but he comes back on the small cold. Oh, the double kill on the other hand. The sound barrier just a moment too late. Great job here by SPT. Good answer. Sylvanas is dead too, so we have a 2-for-2 kill set. Hyde again with another boop here. Oh, gets straight into the Immortal stun. There was no way for him to get out of this one. Quest completed now on the side of Arthur, so he has the 10 together, a bit late even, on the 8-minute mark. But, yep, they're trying to make the play here. Army already popped, but what a game again! Damn! And CE better a little bit on the objective, but they obviously are struggling there. There's the setup, the last rites, and Malthael getting a kill for himself in a stack. That's, of course, another 5 seconds off the cooldown. Nicely done here. But boy, what a slaughter here. I mean, this is a game with 20 kills, 8.5 minutes in. 20 kills between SPT and CE. It's a little bit like Chinese meta, to be honest. Top lane, that's where currently that camp from earlier is also getting some value against the fort. So CE is controlling the macro aspect of the map once again very well, like they did on Tomb. But SPT is definitely fighting back and getting the kills right now. But as you can see, top lane might even get the fort. If not, then it's at least extremely low. There's a big arrow coming in as SPT goes for the kill again, and they actually get it. They take down ETC and they want Arthur's. Arthur's attack now too. Top fort still standing. Camp has been defended against. There's the sound barrier just as we see the X-Strike coming in. And another kill against Jimmy. Jimmy down. Arthur's dead as well. And they're just diving that fort. They don't care, and they get the kill against Hanzo. Mercilessly. SPT. They're like Italian mafiosis. They're not only going to kill you, they are going to kill your wife, they're going to kill your parents, they're going to kill your sister, they kill everybody who ever knew you, and they're going to eradicate every evidence that you ever even existed. That's what SPT is doing. There's a lot of motivation behind these guys. I mean, they dove deep for those kills. So with this, we have now objective 1 for them. They took it. And Gonda's trying to set something up, but yeah, I can't follow up, and everybody else is still out there. They actually try again. Hyde is booping Sylvanas back once more. But they don't have the damage there with them. The 13 talent is ready, but obviously with them being pushed back now, it means that there's a bit of a free defense for CE at the top. Now that Immortal is not going to do anything. I mean, look at how quickly that beast is burned down. There's just nobody pushing with it. SPT was so low the entire time, and their Hearthstones were... They needed a lot of time to actually get back to the Nexus and top up HP, so that literally did nothing. Them winning the objective didn't accomplish anything for them, well, outside of taking it away from their opponent. So CE, by pressuring quickly and pushing them back, not allowing them to join the Immortal, was now able to defend against that easy peasy. So they still have the upper hand when it comes to structures on the map. The top fort has finally fallen. That means that we're currently also looking again at CE holding all the structures in the game, and SPT having lost 2. But 8 kills against 16. That's still the setup, so double the kills for SPT. Their aggression is definitely something to admire in this game. Arthur's not going for the trade talents. The cooldown reduction on level 13 oftentimes helps. I'm wondering if on 16 he's still going to make the commitment for the double charge on his trade so that he can get a few more stacks in, but it doesn't really seem like that's going to be a focus for him. With obviously stacks now slowly getting acquired by Malthael too, I would assume that he's going to work on that cooldown reduction even more. Again, unfortunately, we don't have control over the screen itself, so I can't double check the stacks at this point. I'm really interested to know what Sylvanas currently has in terms of damage output and how much he was able to stack her level 1 and how many stacks we currently have on Malthael. I've seen him take one hero down with last rites, but I definitely could see that he has a little bit more set up there earlier. So yeah, that's another big one. I mean, either way, teams are now about to fight again at the bot lane. At least everybody is currently starting to jump in. Immortals are back on the map too. So CE needs another approach, another attempt to set this one up here. Can they do something with that? Maybe get the kill when the Immortal try and push for the first keeper as SPT, thanks to the kills that they get, starting to take an advantage in the game. They have a slight leading experience already, and as the game continues, your ability to kill heroes usually starts to become more of an asset to you, simply because the death timers are increasing. That's a big advantage. In the early game, a single kill might not matter all that much, but if it happens in the later stages, then that's a different issue. When heroes are down for a minute more. Great pressure at the top lane is just also shown by the Observer, and someone has to deal with it, and that's actually Malthael, and it should trigger an attack by CE. CE, now that they know it, well, they went for the Immortal. Now the question is, do they still have a little bit of time to burn it down? And they're trying. They have a 5 versus 4 setup on the map, and they can go for the quick burn, and now the Exterminator starts to kick in and reset as well. They're trying to get this one, and this is very likely going to end up in their favor. The poke from the outside, battle comes in, again Hyde with a quick boop, the slide from ETC. No last rites just yet, but Misaka and his boys are looking for it. Gonda is low, and there's the sound barrier to negate the last rites. Great play by Hyde, obviously waiting for it to be thrown out there. Did a great job with this. Yeah, that Immortal is gonna fall. One more arrow, there it is, and now we have CE with an objective. And so far, they've gotten a lot more out of their objectives than SPT. And it's time for keeps. It's also time for 16 on both sides right now. The fight is again being forced outside of the Immortal. Aloof Fool coming in from the angle here. Immortal is moving down to the bottom of the map. He's going to push there. They're already trying to go for the extra experience to make sure that they're having the extra talent a little bit ahead of SPT. 39 stacks only. Wow. 39 stacks only on the side of Sylvanas. A single stack for Malthael, so he didn't get anything out of the one that I saw earlier. 14 stacks for Arthas and 18 on the Prog Rock for Gonda. Honestly, a little bit disappointing. I expected some of these talents to already be much higher. That's a great kill, though. I mean, again, they are just getting the kills when they need it. And that mosh pit, the arrow, and down goes Sylvanas and even Tyrael. All 3 dead, and that's a keep right there. Yeah, there's the dog jumping in deep, but he's gonna fall as well. They're all gonna die, aren't they? I mean, at least Jimmy is down. And we have Melody C still moving away with Genji, but this should actually be game. That Immortal is still on 50% HP. Malthael needs another 5 seconds until he's back, and those shields are falling quickly. CE! They are taking the 2-0 victory against SPT and are cementing their position at the top of the group. Great play, and GG as CE wins the match with a 2-0 victory.